Saseni, welcome to a new segment of Nivishe called My Story by Nivisha. In this segment, we will be discussing the different mental health issues which people go through and how it shapes their life and their decisions. So, in our first episode, we begin with ourselves. And with me, I have Nivisha founder Amisa Rashid, who is going to tell us what she went through and what selfish experiences and decisions drove her to starting Nivisha. Welcome to the episode, Lisa.
Thank you, Ali, for having me, and I'm glad that I'm the first host and the first guest in your show. So I hope that I'll set the pace and bars for the upcoming guests.
Well, that's exactly why I have you here. So before we go very far, what is Nivisha? Just in case we have some new viewers out there.
Okay, so Nivisha comes from a Kiswahili word which means to clothe you. We aim at clothing you holistically, mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually. And our main aim is to create mental health advocacy at the grassroots levels all over Kenya.
Okay. Now, what led you to starting Nivisha?
So, what led me to start Nivisha? You want me to tell you from a personal experience or like when the idea came up?
I believe that kuna personal experiences ambazo zinatufanya we start whatever we do.
True.
I believe that a job has a personal story, like an organization has a personal story. So ningependa kuelewa the personal story behind the founding of Nivisha.
Okay, so the founding story is that I started Nivisha after I lost my dad, and that was like you going through all those mental health issues like depression, loss and grief, trying to adjust in the new settings and everything, like new beginning. It was basically a new beginning, and it what led to the idea of coming up with Nivisha. Yeah.
Umeongelea kwamba when you lost your dad you had mental health issues, you went through depression and loss and grief. Tell us more about what you went through, because I believe that losing a loved one is something that people experience in life, and I believe that your story might help a viewer or myself at some point.
Okay, so initially my dad had a heart problem, and he passed away due to the heart failures, and that is what the experiences that I went through even before there was this huge bill that you're supposed, like his operation bill, it was amounting to a huge amount of money which we were to go out there and ask for help. So I was imagining myself it was the beginning of my early 20s, and I had to put myself first of all exposure, and then the exposure that I'm needing help. So going to different people I know, different institutions, to know, like just being vulnerable and telling people that I'm going through this and I need your support, putting myself as somebody who needs help. That was when the beginning of the beginning of my journey started. And then even before the operation was done, he passed away, and then now I had to deal with the loss and grief aspect of it. So he passed away. We are here mourning him. There was a specific guidelines apparently in which you're supposed to mourn somebody. Islamically, you're not supposed to wail loudly. You're not supposed to cry openly if you're a woman. All these things, and sometimes, and I think that there should be guidelines in whereby we can integrate as mourning, because I felt like I was mourning, but I was censored in how I was mourning. Like, you're not supposed to cry loudly. But that is how I knew. That was my first time losing my dad. I've never lost somebody that close before. And how are you censoring how I'm supposed to mourn? How are you making sure, how are you controlling how I'm supposed to mourn? Mourning is supposed to come like without practice or anything. So I felt like that was the beginning of this journey of like, I went through this and things that culminated towards it, mourning, losing somebody, grieving somebody, the whole process of it, and that what stemmed the idea of Nivisha, because it built to the other avenues that came until Nivisha came.
Tell us more in how it augured for you. So you've lost a loved one, and society requires you to stick to certain guidelines in how you deal with the loss. How did that shape you as a Muslim, as a woman, and as a person who would later sit down and found an organization that helps people who might be going through similar issues?
Okay, so I think one thing is after losing my dad, that is in 2016, I and then that was what pushed me to go to get my degree, because I was actually starting as my first degree was in education, Islamic education. Then I had to go and do counseling psychology, right? Because I needed to find healing for myself. So yeah.
Do you feel like your academic path, both in Islamic studies and in counseling psychology, provided you with the answers and the guidance you need?
I think it did, because I think during that time is when I started questioning religion. Like, we've been raised not to question religion, we've been raised not to question things. But I think once you lose somebody, and that is an experience I wouldn't want for anybody to experience it, that once you lose somebody, there's this stage of anger. Like, you're angry at everybody. You're angry at God. Like, why did this have to happen to me? Why am I going through this process? I think for me, most of it was anger to God. Like, I've gone through this and this and this. I've tried the best that I can, but then you took this person that I loved away from me. So you see, but the good thing is that I had some religious background. So it was upon me to go back and dig. And like, I don't want a sheikh or a religious person to control how I'm going to mourn somebody that I love, right? So I decided that it was upon me, like, to go back, dig, question these things, and then learn the way that I can heal on my own self. But at the same time is whereby the journey, the need, the urge to understand myself and to understand other people drove me to take another course in counseling psychology. So like, it came both at the same time. Like, I really needed, like, I had to be in a religious institution to be able to learn more about this religious aspect and question it in a safe way. But also I had to find healing, and that is where I found the healing was in counseling. So it came, like, it was equal, it was like a balance, equilibrium for me. Yeah.
How do you feel right now? Do you feel like after all these years of both study and studying both religion and counseling psychology, do you feel like that gave you what you were looking for, or that equipped you well enough to heal?
I think here and now, I feel like yes, it did. And I cannot put all my, I cannot say that it was only religious and the both studies that helped me, but I can also say the support system that I had, because I feel like your support system is it. Like, the people around you, they either make you or break you. So for me, I had a very, very strong support system. You remember, I came from a religious institution, and their support was immense, because actually the time that I was even fundraising for my dad's hospital bill and everything, I can share an experience. I had a friend, she came to me and she brought me gold earrings, and she told me, like, a couple, go sell this and then you can add it to your dad's bill. I'll never forget, those are the support that I need, people who are there for me. And I think even the institution itself knew me and everything. So I think that I had a support system there. So I can say, apart from the religious and what, I had people that I could confide in. If I had religious questions, there's some specific, I think one of my friends, and I think I can say it, she's called Hiam. I hope she'll see this video. Hiam was my guiding light. So Hiam was there. Hiam actually is the one who inspired me to do counseling. Okay, so Hiam was a counselor at UON. She was studying psychology at UON, but we are still doing the degree together. So any question that I will have, she was my safe space. I could go, she will give me both the religious aspect and the counseling aspect. So it was like a balance, just having these people who you can go to and then share, and then they can give you their own perspective without judging you and just allowing you to be. So that was basically the journey, the healing journey. And I can say that with loss and grief, you don't heal. there's sometimes you feel like you've healed, and then there's sometimes it goes, just one thing can trigger you, like you just smell a perfume, like let's say like I smell somebody having a perfume that my dad used to wear, or just somebody like having the physical feel, it like triggers me automatically. And I think that experiencing such a thing has enabled me even to help some of my friends who are going through loss and grief, because I've been there and I know like how I can support them to go through the journey that they're going through.
The two things that you talked about. There's a bit where you talked about helping people, and we will build on that towards how it formed Nivishe. And there's a bit where you talked about other ways in which you found answers. On the first page, how did that, your different support systems and your studies, build you up and you more? The other people who need this kind of help, and I will find this organization that will help them.
Okay, so apparently I come from Kibra, and Kibra, I think there was no, like during my time, I don't think that there was somebody I could approach in regards to mental health, like what I was going through. You see, so I think, and that is what stemmed up, like if I am going through this, and actually it's not even the fact that I'm from Kibra, like how many Muslims are censored in the way they should grieve somebody. You're not supposed to wail, or you're not supposed to, like how you control the way that you should mourn. So that is what stemmed from it, and then it actually culminated to the aspect of me going to study more. So if after studying, I realized, okay, mental health is not about loss and grief, okay? There are other things like how you are raised, how you are brought, what are mental illnesses that some people are experiencing in our society, how can we be able to support them, you see? And then I realized that in my community, and then I went to the institution itself. I met like 5 counselors, Muslim counselors, who are in that institution alone. And those 5 Muslim counselors were like, they just doing counseling for self-awareness purposes, like for self-growth, or other they're just doing counseling because they just want to be an retirement benefit. If I retire, I can be a counselor and I can still earn money, you see. So I think for me, like it was a wake-up call, like okay, there are not a lot of Muslim counselors in this field, and maybe I cannot pioneer this thing, but I know that I can put my small input in bringing this thing up. So, and that is what actually led to Nivishe. So, because Nivishe actually, it started, you remember when I started explaining that we have 5 pillars, it actually started with offering, the main thing about Nivishe was starting offering like clothes, manguo, and then we go to places whereby wamechomekewa, just offer our word of advice, and then give them manguo. And then when we grew up is when we started adding these other pillars to it.
Based on how you handled loss and grief, how would you, or what would you tell your younger self, or what would you have done differently now that you are more informed in these matters?
I think I will tell my younger self, like it's never that serious. I for real. And I think it's because I've seen, like I've gone through a lot of various experiences, and I'm like, it's never that serious. And I think it gave me an opportunity to learn, to heal, and to let go. So it's okay. Basically, my main aim is it's okay not to be okay. Like I can be okay here and now, but when I'm not okay, it's fine not to be okay. And it's fine to have, like, it's fine to go through the process of loss and grief. It's normal, and there are a lot of people out there who can be able to offer you support. You just have to reach out and say that you need help, and people will be there to support you.
So I'm happy that you came for today, and thank you for sharing your story. I hope it gets to impact other people who are going through this, and I can't wait to have you in the next episode.
Thank you, Ali, and thank you for having me as your first guest. And I hope that that what you've started doing in telling mental health stories will have a lot of impact to people, and that people can be able to learn and to know that they are not alone, and people have support system out there, that we are there to support them even if they don't have anybody. So good job in what you're doing also.
Thank you. Well, guys, that's it for today. Please visit our Nivishe social media pages to find other works in mental health stories, in group sessions to the Nivishe Chat Corner, and other activities that we do. That's it for today. Goodbye.